my parents' haunted house. Please, someone help us. We don't know what to do. It's been getting so bad in the 20 years, but this is by far the worst it's ever been. Both of my parents grew up in haunted houses, and of course, my siblings and I have all grown up in a haunted house as well. At first, my parents thought my brothers just had an imaginary friend. This imaginary friend lived in the closet. My brother woke up screaming in the middle of the night when I was a baby, so I don't remember much of it, but I've seen pictures. My parents ran in there, and he had blood on his sheets and 3 cuts down his back. They had bunk beds, and my older brother was on the bottom. My parents said he was so pale, and he wouldn't say a word. Things calmed down for a really long time, until I was about 10 years old. I had one of my friends staying over, and we were staying up really late playing games and doing what girls do. We started to hear scratching coming outside of my door. I had a cat, so I thought it was her, but when I went to open it for her, no one was there. We shrugged it off. Then it started again, and the doorknob started to jiggle, and it slowly opened, and there was a dark figure standing there, looking like it was out of breath. Its shoulders were going up and down, and then it lunged at me, and we screamed as my parents came running, but nothing and nobody was in the house. She never stayed over again and stopped being my friend shortly after. I can't blame her for that. 9 years later, just little things were happening, and nothing as scary as that. My boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, went off to basic training, and I still lived with my parents when I was only 19. I had my dog Zeus, who was sleeping on the bed with me. It was about 6:30 in the morning, and I had to be up at 8:30 for work. Zeus woke me up by growling, and then I heard a weird voice in my ear, speaking a language I didn't understand. When I started to open my eyes, it started growling in my ear. I opened my eyes fast, and the door slammed quickly. My dog was standing over me, with his hair standing up, looking like he was about to attack something. Everyone was at work, and I heard banging around coming from my parents' room. I got Zeus off of me. I jumped out of bed, and I ran to my parents' room. The cabinets were opening and closing, and things were getting thrown around the room, and it wouldn't stop, so I went to run out, and the door slammed shut. My dog ran around the house barking and growling, and started running into the door. I grabbed my work clothes, and I got me and Zeus out of there. I dropped my dog off at my friend's and went to work early. When I got home, my parents' room was destroyed. My mother was crying, and my dad was angry, so I told them everything. We decided not to talk about it again and went on with the rest of the day. My brothers still lived with my parents as well, and that night my door kept opening and closing. I kept hearing running in the hallway, so I thought it was him. I put on my slippers and I stomped my way to his room. I was going to yell at him to knock it off, but when I opened the door he was snoring. I woke him up and I made him promise that it wasn't him. He told me to leave his door open to see if he sees anything. I'm halfway down my hallway when my brother told me to run to my room and not look back. But of course I turned around. As I turned around, I saw a large black figure standing in the doorway staring at me. It had large red eyes, just staring. The coldest gaze that I've ever seen, like it was lifeless. I froze and I started to whimper. My brother, being the protective big brother, came charging to tell the thing to leave me alone, when he got it to disappear. My brother ran to me and led me to my room and slept on that floor that night to stay with me. I didn't sleep. Now a year later, I'm 20 and my husband is away for the army at the moment, and we were waiting for our plumbing to get done at the new house. Last night we had a bad rainstorm. I woke up to growling again and couldn't move. Out of the corner of my eye, there was this figure with red eyes again, just staring at me. Thunder started, and it opened its mouth so wide it could have fit my whole head in it. It had huge sharp teeth and a long skinny tongue that it started to scream, and my ears started to ring. I wanted to cover them, but I couldn't. My dog half growled and started whining, then started to bark. My parents came running in, covering their ears from the screaming. But when they ran in, they saw the thing. My dad came running to me and picked me up and carried me to his room with my dog following. Zeus had his back to us, so he faced the thing, and he never took his eyes off the figure until it was out of sight. I was finally able to move, and I started crying and shaking uncontrollably. My brother lives here as well with his girlfriend. We heard her scream, banging on the door, so my dad opened it, and she came running and crying and shaking as well. We started to ask where Mike was. Before she could answer, he came out of the room just staring at us. We all froze, and none of us knew what to do. He ran at us, and my dad slammed the door shut and locked it. My brother started running against the door, and my mom was screaming for us to get out of the house, repeating and throwing things as she started stomping. My dad opened the door, and my brother was passed out in front of the door with his nose bleeding. When we woke my brother up, we told him everything, and he didn't remember hearing anything that night. He told us all sorry, and then he stayed quiet for the rest of the night. Nobody's been able to sleep since all of this started, and now it's the next night, and we keep hearing growling and scratching throughout the house. What's in here is demonic. It doesn't want to leave me and my family alone. It went away for a long time when I was younger, but now it's come back in full force, and definitely more angry than before. Nobody has any idea of what even could have caused this, what spirit it could be, if it's demonic, if it's a poltergeist. We're just not sure. There's a lot of different reasonings behind why this is happening to us. And perhaps this thing's been with us for a very long time. Ever since I was 10, it started to come back. And when it came back, it didn't leave me alone. It seems it has a stronghold in our house, a foothold, if you will, on everything we own. This isn't our place to be comfortable. This isn't our home to make sure that we can come and sleep every night in peace. It wants chaos. It wants damage. And it wants to split us apart as a family. So what I'm asking, and what I'm proposing to anybody who hears me out, I need some way to stop this. I need some way to make the spirit or the demon go away. I don't want it affecting my family anymore. I don't want it coming after me in the middle of the night. This is something I've dealt with for forever, and we just want to be normal again. I'm still afraid to go to sleep. I know it'll be looking at me, and I know it'll be trying to find me. Every time that I close my eyes, I imagine waking up in fear, anger, and frustration over this thing having a foothold here. If only I could find a way to make it go away. If only I could find a way to make this house ours again.